Hi everybody, welcome to Inside IDB. My name is Stacy Cervenka. I'm the director of the Iowa Department for the Blind. January is National Braille Literacy Month, as January 4th is the birthday of Louis Braille, the inventor of the Braille Code. So today we're going to talk a little bit about how the Braille that we produce at the Iowa Library for the Blind and Print Disabled is produced and what the process looks like. So first we're going to talk a bit with Jerry Cole. How are you today, Jerry?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good. So can you tell us first of all what you do here at the Iowa Library for the Blind and Print Disabled?
Well, my title is Braille Coordinator. I help support the team, a vast team, and it's not just the library, it's the department as a whole. Mm-hmm. I help process, product, print, Braille. I help mentor and guide Braille transcribers, vendors, contractors, volunteers. Mm-hmm. I help those individuals in the state of Iowa to get through the Library of Congress certification Braille course if they're interested. Primarily we've done several state educators who have become certified in literary Braille transcription.
So can you tell us a bit about how you became a Braille coordinator and some of the different certifications that you have?
I'm certified in literary Braille. Mm-hmm. I'm certified in literary Braille proofreading.
Wow.
I hold certification in mathematic Braille, which is Nemeth. I also hold certification in the UEB, Universal English Braille Code Proficiency, because I was actually certified underneath the old Braille Code, the EBAE. I also hold certification in textbook formatting, and I also hold a certification in Canada underneath the UEB. When it comes to how I became a Braille coordinator, it comes from, I'd say, 22 years of experience in processing. My first stage was learning how to process the Braille books, how to bind them, collate them, feed in tactile graphics, make sure that the quality was accurate. From there, I got into learning how the Braille code works. I spent about 5 years mastering my skill as a Braille transcriber and gaining higher education in Braille transcription, which included the Nemeth code and textbook formatting. After about 5 years, I started mentoring other Braille transcribers who were interested, or individuals who were interested in getting certified in Braille transcription. To date, it's probably well over 100 individuals who I've had contact with and helping them achieve their Braille certification through the Library of Congress.
So one of the things that the library does is run the Instructional Materials Center, which produces textbooks and classroom materials for blind students throughout the state of Iowa. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Certainly. The library holds a vast collection of over 200,000 titles, and those titles consist of Braille, large print, audio, and electronic files. Material can be ordered through an internal ordering system, and if it's available, we'll just go and pull it off the shelf.
Oh, great. So a teacher or a principal or a paraprofessional can just call you and ask if the title is available, and if you have it, you can just send it to them.
Well, they do their ordering system electronically through Athena,
okay,
which is the library's Instructional Materials Center ordering portal. If the book is not on the shelf, if it's not available, mm-hmm, if we do not have it, then we would do some research to see whether or not it is available for purchase.
From another source?
Correct. If it is not available for purchase from another source, then we have to reach out to our vendors and our contractors to see if they're available to produce the article from scratch.
Okay, in Braille, oh, so that's great. So it sounds like that would be a really useful resource to schools. So if they have a student who needs, for example, a math book, we can let them know if we have that math book available. And if not, if they can order it from, or if it already exists and can be ordered from somewhere else. And if not, we can reach out to our vendors to produce it.
Correct.
So about how many kids and how many school districts has the Instructional Materials Center served for the 2025-2026 school year?
So to date, we have a little over 100 schools that we
wow,
are providing materials to 60 students to date who have received materials. There are over 549 books that have been checked out from our vast collection of over 200,000
Right, and in a
articles.
smaller population state like Iowa, that's a lot.
It is.
About how many pages have we produced this year?
A little over 19,000.
19,000 just for students alone?
Correct.
Wow, that's a lot. That's awesome. So January is National Braille Literacy Month. Can you tell us a little bit about the Braille Code?
Well, it's important to state that the Braille Code is a code and it's not a language.
Yes.
It represents punctuation, numerals, letters, symbols, and shapes. It's a tactily risen system in which the blind and print disabled can learn how to educate themselves and become independent in their own lives.
Absolutely, and I often tell people is just as print is not a language, print is a code. Print is the code that translates whatever spoken language, whether it's English or Chinese or Russian, onto paper. Braille is also just a code that translates English or Chinese or Russian in a tactile form that people who are blind can use. So what are some of the misconceptions and myths that exist around Braille?
Well, let's start with one. Only people who are totally blind use Braille.
Right, absolutely. Braille can often be very helpful to people who have low vision because it can get really difficult to read print for a long period of time, and often kids can read large print when they're in kindergarten or first grade, but as the print load increases in upper elementary school or junior high, high school, and the number of pages increase and the print gets smaller, it's rough.
Yes, I would say another one, that Braille is outdated because of technology.
Oh, absolutely. And kids who only listen to read via digital audio, it's difficult to learn to spell and punctuation and syntax. Audiobooks and digital books are amazing, but you can't really learn to spell and learn how to write by only listening.
Yeah, and another one I would say is that, another misconception that Braille is the same everywhere. It's not. There's different Braille codes from the Universal English Braille, which is for English-speaking countries, and then there are different Braille codes for Russian, et cetera, et cetera.
So besides literary Braille, can you tell us a little bit more about the other codes that exist, such as music and math?
Certainly. Once an individual gets certified through the Library of Congress in what they call literary Braille transcription, there are higher education areas in which they can become certified in. Nemeth, which is mathematics, computer Braille code, chemistry, is a higher degree of Braille certification. It handles anywhere from 1 + 1 = 2 up to trigonometry, geometry, algebra. And then there's music. Music is even a higher degree of Braille transcription, in which the individual who is trying to learn how to become music certified is required to have at least some music background of at least 1 year of reading music from print.
Interesting.
Or playing an instrument.
So one thing people may not know is that you can't just take a Microsoft Word document as such and just emboss it out on a Braille printer. You have to create a special file with special software to actually turn it into the Braille code. Can you talk a little bit about that?
That's correct. You can't just hit, click, print, and expect it to come out in a manner in which is accessible to the Braille reader. Braille translation software, while being very good, and it's come a long way in the last 20-some years that I've been experiencing it, it is not foolproof. It is not 100% accurate. It does take a certified Braille transcriber to understand the nuances in the different programs that are out there that you can use to translate an electronic file into Braille.
Right. So, one thing people might not realize is that Braille, grade 2 Braille, isn't just letter for letter. There are Braille characters that are entire words or that are parts of words. So for example, my name is Stacy Cervenka. In Braille, my name is the ST sign, which is one character, ACYCER sign, which is one character, VEN sign KA. So in order to make sure that it comes out that way, that's kind of what the software does, correct?
Yeah, there's an interpretation process in the electronic exchange.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us today, Jerry. We've learned a lot.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
Now we're going to talk with Leland Smith about what happens once you have this translated Braille document, how you produce it into hard copy Braille. So, Leland, can you tell us what you do here at the Iowa Library for the Blind and Print Disabled?
Yeah, so I'm the service specialist here at the Instructional Materials Center, and primarily my role, I work with pulling and shelving our textbooks in our catalog. I also do a lot of proofing and ensuring that the books are complete, there's no damage. When they go out to students, when they come back in from the students, I work with patrons on high technical issues with our other services, accessing things with a screen reader. And I also do some transcription work with patrons and internal requests.
Now, you're a Braille reader. Did you grow up reading Braille?
So I didn't actually learn Braille until late high school, and I didn't start reading Braille until well after college. Before that, I used a lot of electronic documents and large print throughout elementary, middle, and high school.
And I know that that's made you a huge advocate for Braille. We've talked a little bit earlier about the myths that if you can read large print at all, that you probably don't need to learn Braille, or that electronic materials take the place of Braille. And how did you find that?
So with my experience, I've been blind since I was about 6. I have some usable vision, so I could see large print. And the idea, it would take years to learn Braille, years upon after that to be fluent with Braille.
Even though it, of course, also takes years to learn print and years to be I have kids, and I can tell you they don't learn print in, 3 to 6 months.
And then after all these years of experience working on Braille, that it would be useful, but in that time I would fall behind school, so let's work with large print, which made kind of sense at the time. That's until the large print had to get larger and larger. 14-point font was doable, then 18, then 36. By the time I left high school, 72-point font wasn't big enough.
Well, in 72-point font, you're looking at how many words on a page?
No more than 3.
Yeah, that's just not efficient.
And the only way I would get that level of font was on a computer screen, zoomed in, so very slow navigating through the document, or using a large print that was blown up to a very large size with a magnifier on top. It just wasn't very usable.
Well, and a lot of kids who are low vision, they're told, oh, it's wonderful, you can read large print, you don't quote unquote need to learn Braille, but the kids don't develop a love for reading because it's so arduous and the print has to be so large and it's so slow that it ends up not being a true mechanism for literacy.
I actually didn't consider myself literate until I started using Braille, and that's just because I could never read fluently. My spelling was awful, and I just thought I wasn't a good speller, so it's just who I am. Until I started reading Braille, seeing words, going, oh, that's how that's spelled, and things started making sense.
Well, and again, that's one thing that we emphasize is that when kids only learn by listening, they just don't learn spelling and punctuation the way that you do when you encounter it all the time in print and Braille.
Exactly.
So earlier today, we talked with Jerry Cole. So Jerry produces the Braille file. How can people use that Braille file to actually read a book in Braille?
Yeah, so when you have the electronic Braille file, you can either emboss a hard copy and physically have a book to read.
Just as you would have a print book, you have a Braille book.
Or there's devices called Braille displays that you can actually pull up the file and read on the device itself. One of those Braille displays usually have 20 to 40 cells of Braille, and give you an idea, that's probably anywhere from 5 to 10 words at a time.
So you can essentially either use the Braille file on an e-reader, similar to what almost like a Kindle, or reading it on an electronic reader, or you can produce a hard copy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the big difference between using either, so of course the electronic version, you have a small device that you can have the whole book on, so it's very portable. Downside, you don't get to see multiple lines of Braille at a time, so it's going to cut back on your reading speed. If you're reading something like a textbook on a Braille display, you're going to lose out on some of the formatting that went into the file. So now you're kind of going back to looking at a block of text, which just isn't
as if you were
ideal.
reading like a line of print at a time.
Correct.
Which
you lose the ability to navigate quickly with headings. So that's really why textbooks should be in hard copy, but you can use electronic devices in a pinch.
So what most people might call printers in Braille are called embossers, and we are in the embosser room right now. So can you tell us about the machine behind us?
Yeah, so behind you is a embosser. This is a Braille 300. And what this device does is you can send those electronic Braille files, and this will go ahead and produce the hard copy. And this one will go on Braille on both sides of the page, so called interpoint. And it'll go through about 200 Braille pages in about 5 minutes.
And these are very different than what someone would have in their home. These are kind of
Correct.
industrial
These
Braille
are
embossers,
the
not what a
industrial
college
size.
student might have to
Yes.
produce, single pages of Braille.
Yeah, so a lot of those more personal embossers are much smaller, probably a fifth of the size of one of these devices. This one's really quite large.
Meant for hundreds of thousands
Yes.
of pages, yeah.
This machine, it can run through multiple textbooks back to back within half an hour, and it really kind of cuts down on that work of waiting on things to be embossed. So when it starts running, it'll be pretty loud, and it'll be track-fed paper. So it's going to start brailing from top to the bottom, and it'll collect down in the tray below. So here's the initial page. It's going to be a blank page. And there's the first 2 pages of the file ran. And there's the next 2. So as you can tell, it's a quite efficient machine, but quite noisy. It's not like it is super complicated. One side in, make sure the other side's seated. It's got some space.
So let's say that I have a high school biology textbook, several hundred pages. How long would it take one of those embossers to emboss that out?
So typically a book like that, a biology book, would probably end up being anywhere from 15 to 30 volumes. One of these embossers would go through and emboss all those pages in probably about an hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
On top of that, you would also have tactile graphics that would have to get produced on different machines to then get woven into the final volumes for this book. So that would add a little extra time, but those can get ran at the same time. And then you would assemble it and put them into covers in the spine, and that usually takes about anywhere from half an hour to an hour, depending on how many volumes you need to put spines in.
So I'm sure it depends on the time of year and your workload, but about how long does it take from when a textbook arrives to when the Braille textbook is completely finished and available for the student?
So most of our textbooks are actually produced and mailed to us from our vendors. So in those cases, it's a very quick, we receive it in the afternoon, we have it labeled in our catalog, and then by the next day, it's out in the mail.
Wait, really?
Yes.
No kidding.
And then if we were having to produce it here in-house, say the vendor or contractor doesn't emboss the Braille, we would be able to get those files, run it, get labeled, and in our catalog and in the mail about 2 hours to 3, depending on how long the book is.
That's amazing. It's amazing that technology is at that place. I remember when I was in college where they had to make these huge plates. If you were making a plate, it was extremely expensive. And so you were producing individual volumes of Braille. And one Braille volume could cost thousands of dollars.
And so these sections of the whole producing a Braille book we're talking about is the embossing and assembling side. But there's always that first step that Jerry talked about, the transcribing side. So I always kind of like to think, to have a Braille book made, you make Braille with a T. Transcribe, emboss, assemble.
Oh, transcribe, emboss, assemble.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that first stage,
I like
the
that.
transcription.
I'm gonna use that now.
Oh, absolutely. Transcription that can take a person anywhere from 2 upwards to a year, 2 months to a year to produce that file to be ran. That's why it's really important that we get those orders in as soon as we can, because if they have to produce it from scratch, doesn't exist in the world already in Braille, it can take some time.
So thank you to Leland and the rest of the staff at the Iowa Library for the Blind and Print Disabled for everything you do to make sure that Iowa students have the textbooks and classroom materials they need to do well in the classroom, and to make sure that all blind and low vision and print disabled Iowans have reading material for the various facets of their life that's required.
Of course, it was my pleasure getting to talk with you and sharing what we do here.
So where can we find out more information about the library?
Absolutely. If you go to our website at iowalibrary.blog, we have everything on there for our resources, events, and just helpful links to different resources for blind Iowans. And you can also learn more about us there.
Absolutely, and we encourage all teachers, paraprofessionals, principals, TVIs who work with blind and low vision students to contact us here at the Instructional Materials Center, and we can help you to get the textbooks that your student needs.